Welcome back. In this video, I will present three-dimensional illustrations of the plumbing inside the well house of my automated well project. The first illustration will illustrate the just the plumbing and the components that were used in the old or original system. The second illustration I will describe, it will illustrate the all of the parts of the new system, but it will not, though that one will not include some sections of the old. I have to use some of the parts are used for both the old and the new. And then the third illustration will bring it all, both systems all together, show both of them side by side together in one system there. And it's vital. Although I did not realize it when I was first putting this together, it is vital that I can switch from the new to the old back and forth. Here's an example why. I encountered a leak in one of the pipes in the upper level in the new system during one day when it's pretty hot and so forth. And so I immediately shut the breaker off to the booster pump that was driving the pressure in the newer system, and I changed the valves to where I went back to the old system. And what's nice about that, see, that way I still had water available to me in the house while I was repairing the new system. It's a big deal, isn't it? Being able to fall back to, it's like the old system is kind of like a backup system if the new system needs maintenance at all anywhere in the system. Now, another reason I need to be able to do that, to be able to convert back to the old system, is what if I need to do some maintenance on the tank, the storage tank, for example. If I need to rinse it out or doing some sanitizing, well, I'm going to have to have some water available. Well, by being able to go back to the old system, I'm able to, have water available to service different parts of the new system. So, okay, here we go. The following is those three illustrations I was talking about. So this illustration shows the original system before I added any additional plumbing or hardware. This is just a typical standard pumping situation. You have a submersible pump that pumps it up, and it'll go into a bladder tank. The bladder tank is pressurized to certain pressure, and it'll actually store water under pressure. So when there's no water flowing into the house and all the valves are closed, this will actually, build up there's a bladder inside, like a balloon that fills up and expands and contracts when water comes in and out of this. Anyway, pressure switch and a pressure gauge. This here is I guess you call it a water tap. It's like a faucet. You can hook a hose up to it. It's used for draining the bladder tank and servicing the well in general. And water comes out of this way. Goes. I have it going through a valve, through two micron filters in parallel. Because they're in parallel, half the water flows through this filter and half will flow for this one. So because half the water will be flowing through each of them, they'll last twice as long. Of course, I got to replace two of them at a time when I do it. But when I'm replacing these filters, I'll just turn these two valves off, and that'll prevent water from coming through from the pump and also backflowing from the house. So I can, there'll be a little bit of water, comes out, but not much. And so anyway, but this will be, and then this goes up and to the house, out to the house. So this is how it was before I started working on it. So let me show you the system with the updates. And the only difference will be is that this section of pipe right here and this valve will not be on the new system. Okay, this will not be out and this will not be there. Let me show you the new system now. So this one illustrates the additional hardware that's been added to the new system. Now, the bladder tank, this pressure switch, and this gauge, and this valve right here, and the submersible pump, that's the only part of the original system that is actually connected with the new system. So, the path of the water with the new system now goes from the submersible pump. Now, this green piece, that's a hose, because this valve here is like a water tap. It's like a faucet that has a hose drain. So I have a high pressure hose fitting section of hose that goes from this drain valve through the hose to another valve to connect them. And these will both be open so the water can flow. So normally this here would be used for draining this tank for servicing, but I'm using it like you would use a washing machine, right? Like this, all this is now an appliance, and it's hooked up through a washer hose up to a valve, right? And it's going to go into the new system. Like this is all a big old appliance now. So when you're through this hose, through a flow sensor, through a check valve, the check valve prevents the water. If this tank is high enough, the water from backflowing down to the tank, to the submersible pump. Flow sensor, check valve into the 500-gallon storage tank. Then from the storage tank to another check valve that prevents water from backflowing into the storage tank. Check valve, strainer. And one big reason why it's check valve too, see, a lot of this stuff, the well house is actually higher than the storage tank. This storage tank is halfway buried in the ground. So if the storage tank is very low, then water could actually flow into this, and especially if this pump turns off, there could be pressure coming back. Well, this prevents the pressure that the booster pump built up from backflowing into the tank. All right, so strainer goes to strainer through a booster pump. It's got its own pressure switch. The pressure switch is monitoring the amount of pressure that's in this bladder tank here. So the pressure switch, the flow sensor, the bladder tank, 2-micron filters, and into the house. Now this diagram shows the full system as it is right now. Okay, so it includes both the old and the new. Remember on the previous one, it had everything just like it is here, except it did not have this section of pipe here and that valve. But as the system is right now, I have both systems, all of both. So if I want to, for example, have the new system, if I want to have the old system and not the new, what I would do is I would close this valve to prevent water from coming up into the tank, and I would close this valve to where water can't go from this bladder tank, and I would open this valve, and then water will flow from the tank to the filled bladder tank and go into both these through this way and down in this way. They'll go through this valve to these microfilters and out. So that's if I want to use the old, and that's what I had to do when I had a sensor up here that was leaking. There was the tape was I guess not thick enough or something. So I redid it and I fixed the leak. But while I was fixing it, I had the old system patched into the house, so I was able to use it. The old system can't deliver as much water, per hour, but at least I had some water, enough water to exist while I was doing their maintenance. So, okay. If I want to go back to the new system, then what I would do, I would turn this valve off, turn this valve off, turn this valve on so water can flow up into the tank, and then I turn this valve on. So this would be off from the old, on from the new. And then I would allow me to go from the submersible pump through these two valves to the hose, through a flow sensor, check valve into the tank, from the tank, your check valve strainer, through the booster pump, pressure switch, pressure gauge, flow sensor, to the bladder tank, and through the bladder tank into both these, because it can go from this valve, it can go up into this one and straight across to this. These two, both micron filters will always be used, and then into the house. Now, you might think, well, okay, wait a minute, there's something about the timing. Well, what I would do for the, because see, when I'm using the new system, the electronics manage power to this pressure switch. However, when I'm using the old system, I want power to continuously be applied to this pressure switch. Well, I have an override switch that patches through power to this and does not have it managed by the electronics. So the power to this pressure switch would be managed by the electronics if it's going to the new system. If it's going to the old, then I'll flip the bypass switch, and this pressure switch will always have power to it, and the pressure switch here will regulate the power of this to the this bladder tank. Okay, so this is how it is right now. So what's cool, I can use either system. I can use the new system, or if I have problems or need to do maintenance on the new system, I can, by changing valves and so forth, I can go back to the old to do maintenance. So it's very versatile, and it's been pretty stable. I've been using this system on the new system for about 3 weeks now with this setup and electronics and everything, and it seems to be working really, really well. So now, for example, I can do a full load of wash. I could not do that with the old system here. I can only get so much water per hour at any one time continuous. Well, now, see, the system does. I have this thing. This is actually come on about a minute and 20 seconds equivalent per each hour. So it's building slowly over a 24-hour period, building the water level in the tank. And then when I use the load of wash, I can pull it in big chunks now and still have water left over, not run out. So it's working out really well. So, okay, that's enough for this illustration. Well, I hope you enjoyed this this video. Gave a little more details of the plumbing of inside the well house. Doesn't include anything regarding electrical or electronic information. This has just had to do with the overall layout of the plumbing that might have been not as clear when I gave the video tour of the system overall. So so next video next week, I'm going to go over some of the considerations, some of the problems I had, some of the things I learned from other videos and online and so forth, and even AI and so forth, some things that I learned and some details that I want to share. So regarding what's going on inside the well house and the plumbing and stuff, still on that. So it may not be a really lengthy video, but it'll give the inner detail, the details regarding, and some considerations regarding putting the system together as far as the plumbing is concerned. So, okay, take care, and I'll be back next week.